Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the Meridian Collegiate Conference. I'm your very best friend Gallium, and I'm here with my goat Nivix. How you doing today?
Dude, I'm doing great. Listen, we got it's not technically the start, but this is the first game that we're getting streamed for the playoffs. This is one of the games in the upper round one. We already had one played, but hey, we got quite the match coming your guys' way. We have Iowa State, Kansas State, something that I feel like we might have seen in the past. So definitely a heated rivalry, maybe kind of developing here in the MCC, and well, definitely a good game to be coming up.
Oh yeah, I mean some might call this the El Clasico of the Meridian Collegiate Conference. I mean these two teams have gone up against each other a plethora of times, and every single game has been absolutely cinema. And I am just anticipating kind of the same in this one. You know, it's not a win or go home series by any means, but definitely if you win this, you have an advantage being in that upper bracket. Continuing on, so with that being said, Nivix, who do you have in this one?
Ooh, wow, we're getting right into it. My
Oh
goodness.
yeah.
Ah, holy. Listen, I feel like it's really close, no matter what. I feel like it's really close. But historically speaking, Iowa State, when it comes to these upper rounds, they have beaten out Kansas State. So I think I'm going to be taking Iowa here. How about you?
Uh, Going off of personal experience, I've only played one of these teams. That was Kansas State, and when Jiro is popping off, he's pretty much unstoppable. So if that's the case, which I do feel like that's going to be the case, give me K State to make a statement here and deal with their foes in Iowa State. But overall, I think it's going to be a great series overall, and these two teams are very storied. Kansas State in the spring semester made it all the way to the grand finals before unfortunately losing to Nebraska in one of the best series of the season. I believe it was a Game 7 thriller, if I'm not mistaken,
Yes, it
but
was.
it was just absolutely incredible to watch them make that run. And Iowa State had a run themselves, but unfortunately could not make it near the finish line. So both teams trying to right their wrongs here for this summer edition of the Meridian Collegiate Conference. And I'm just excited to see both of these teams clash. And, before we get some players in the lobby, I know Iowa State definitely looking for a win here to kind of get farther in the playoffs than they did last semester. What do you think they have to do to get past this Kansas State team, Nivix?
I mean, you know what? You kind of started talking about him. You kind of started talking about him already. I'm looking at Giro. Okay, that man knows how to cause some problems for other teams. That man knows how to get in other teams' faces. And you don't normally want to sit there and say like, "Oh yeah, this team has this individual player that seems to do a decent amount of work," but sometimes stars just shine really bright. And Giro, backed up by an amazing team around him, has been one of those stars that has just been able to shine in this league. And I mean, there's a reason that they might have gotten knocked out, or I should say down, by Iowa State last season, but they were the ones that made that run all the way to the finals and almost got the bracket reset against the reigning champions. So, at least for me, I feel like it's going to be making sure that this Kansas State team, you can't let them start developing. You can't let them start getting comfortable and getting their rhythm going, because if you do, they're gonna start running over you. And all things considered, this Iowa State team, they're no slouches either. They got some amazing players. They got some amazing people that can do stuff. They work really well as a team. This is one of the teams that kind of had, I feel like they were a little bit of a slow burner last season. And then they came into this season. They're like, yeah, you know what? We know who we are. We know what we're getting into. And they're a lot more confident this time around. So in this case, I think it's going to be a match of who is going to find their footing first, because, well, pressure might not fully be on the line, but it's really going to start being on the line pretty soon.
Yeah, and if you look at both of these teams head to head, it's really close. Like all the stats pretty much line up almost exactly with each other. But the main difference that I'm seeing is both Iowa State and Kansas State average above 3 demos inflicted per game. But Iowa State edges Kansas State out in that regard. So if Iowa State can get to their demoing ways, and I mean, 3.5 demos a game is nothing to snooze over for sure. I mean, that definitely can affect how a team plays and the rhythm that Kansas State might be able to play. So if they can get demoing, I feel like they can really edge out this Kansas State team. But I mean, we were harping on Giro. Not only can he score a lot of goals, he also can assist a lot of goals. He almost has an assist a game. So that's what you were mentioning with his teammates backing him up so well. I mean, you just have players like Alien Techno and Moon, who just so technically sound. Moon, very great defensive player. I mean, he's just an outstanding player in the midfield as well. He gets up to balls and he'll beat two defenders and allow these chances for this Kansas State team. And Alien Techno, one of the better shooters in Meridian, in my humble opinion. I feel like he definitely can make some waves if he's given the ball. So, with the team like Kansas State, you have a lot of facilitators and you have a lot of opportunities to get some offense going. It's just, in my eyes, going to matter if they can limit their mistakes, because I feel like that's what happens in series like these, like playoff series and series where a lot is on the line. You make those mistakes and you're going to have mistakes, but it's about limiting your mistakes. And on the side of Iowa State, there's a guy I'm looking towards. Okay. Milky. The Milky, okay? And this guy is an absolute beast. Every time Iowa State takes the pitch, this Milky guy, he's just absolutely a dog. So it's going to be basically Milky versus Giro to see who can step up and be the big dog on the pitch. But we're about to get this one started here, and both of us are picking opposite prediction-wise. But Nivix, this is going to be a stupid question, but I'm going to ask it anyway. Do you think this one's going to 7?
You know what? I think it is. I think it, like, I don't want to say contractually has to, but I feel like by this point it kind of has to. There's enough writing behind all of these, all of this, all of these, because again, we've seen this before. We've seen these teams in this scenario, and I mean, at the end of the day, there's only one way to find out. We're going to get game number 1 underway. Iowa State in the blue, Kansas State in the orange, as kickoff has just gone underway.
Oh my goodness. I mean, I feel like the colors just look so good. Wait a second, Recumbent Jones about to get a shot on target. Giro going to save that one away. Milky is going to try to get a shot himself. It seems as though this Iowa State team has not come to play early on. I'm seeing a lot of esports decals out on the pitch, which are always a great sight to see as we see a ball traveling to the backboard. Milky going to take nice control, and this is the kind of player he is. He controls the ball very well, and he can open up opportunities as that first man. We'll see if he can't get a little bit more of an opportunity later on in the match as Recumbent beats out 2 Kansas State defenders and almost double taps out of the back of the net. That was a great chance that just went along the wayside, Nivix.
It was, and I mean, those are the kind of things you have to jump on those opportunities as soon as you can. It's great to see that they're developing these things so fast, but you can't let those go out of your reach, because I mean, we're going to see a decent bit of back and forth as this game goes on. Both of these teams are not going to let up on each other, as that will bounce off the post, and Salty is going to be right behind it, and looks like Iowa State is going to start off with the scoring.
Yeah, what a great offensive play. Great team effort from Iowa State. I mean, you have Salty sending it off the backboard to Milky, who gets a nice touch past Moon, who was the last defender. And then, just the goal right there. It wasn't a hard shot, but, I mean, it was a much-needed goal. To get the first goal in this playoff series, it means a lot, especially to your nerves and all that. And this is what I was harping on with this Kansas State team, is making sure you limit those mistakes. I've seen plenty of mistakes from them in the defensive end already, and it could attribute itself to playoff nerves. It could just be nerves in general, right? And you have to limit those mistakes if you are going to be the better team, which, I feel like at 100%, they definitely have the possibility of being that better team. But we'll have to see here, as they still have plenty of time to go in this game numero uno here, as Giro is going to send it down the pitch. It's going to be off the corner, tries to get it off the backboard, but Recumbent Jones is going to get a nice touch, and Alien Techno sending it up in the midfield, going to try to get another touch, but what a beat from Salty Girth as Moon and Giro collide on the backboard, and that's a little bit more of what I'm talking about, and hopefully we see some of those defensive errors clean up soon.
Yeah, well, and I also really want to see them holding onto the ball as much as they can. This Iowa State team, they know how to move the ball around with each other. I mean, you were talking about how Milky, he's someone who knows how to do a lot. He knows where to be in the right spot at the right time, and the only way you can shut that down is by making sure that they're, well, not holding on to the ball as much because, well, when they do, they are going to turn it into something, as we might see an opportunity here, going just a bit off to the side, but Recumbent Jones will hold on to it. He's not going to dodge, maybe waiting for Milky to follow it up. Does he get the double? No, just off the post, and, well, not the best read, but it does seem like so far Iowa State, they have the pressure. Right now they're sitting on 8 shots, and a huge 50 comes through. It's keeping this Kansas State team on their own defense, and, well, if you're Iowa State, that's exactly where you want them. If they can't get any shooting opportunities, then, well, they're not going to score anything.
I mean, you never know. Maybe they just own goal, just, for the love of the game. But, at this point in the playoffs, I don't think that's going to be happening here. As we see Moon from the back line, he has 100 boost, but he doesn't have another touch, and Salty Girth is going to send that into his own corner. Milky gets a touch up to Salty, who gets another touch, but doesn't have any boost to really follow this one up. Moon, last one to defend, and those are the demos we're talking about. Milky paving the way for his teammates to potentially get a shot on net as Alien Techno backflips there. Recumbent Jones going to take it in the midfield, and now the ball is being sent into the Iowa State net. Kansas State, off the back of a Moon shot, is going to be tied 1-1 with 1:25 left to go.
Yeah, in that case, I think Milky just not quite able to grab that corner boost, able to catch up to that, and, well, just a well-placed shot by Moon there, able to find the net right when it was at its best chance. So, right now, tied 1-1, exactly how I expected this series to start. Both of these teams, they've had their opportunities, although Iowa State definitely on the more positive end of things. Right now, Kansas State is 1 for 1. 1 goal, 1 shot. Right now, Iowa State, they're 10 for 1. So right now they are definitely producing. It's a matter of whether or not they can turn it into something, as we might see a center here. No, Recumbent Jones able to push it out, going for the ground double. He will stay behind this. Don't know if he can follow it the whole way through. Moon's going to be able to push it out on the sidewall, opting just to send it down. Didn't have the boost to quite follow that up fully, and we will be on this Iowa State side. A shot coming through. That is going to be a bounce shot, and Alien Techno is going to give Kansas State the lead.
What a nice shot from Alien Techno, but a great pass from Jiro as well. I mean, that bounce shot had to be perfectly placed in order to go in, and it sure does. As 40 seconds remain, and, this Kansas State team, they only have 3 shots to Iowa State's 10. So it's not about the amount of shots, it's about the quality. But wait a second, this one might go in the back of the net as Salty Girth has evened it up here with a little over 30 seconds remaining.
Definitely some just crazy series of 50s here. Kickoffs can be a little bit of a problem for these teams, and something that, hey, some teams will look at to try and add a little bit of variety, add a little bit of spice to what is happening. In this case, I think pretty standard kickoff, just going the way of Iowa State, jumping on the opportunity a lot faster than Kansas State was able to. So they're going to have to see if maybe they can take this with a little bit of momentum, or it seems like Jiro is just not going to let that happen.
I mean, Moon has been all over the pitch, doing everything, and what a great pass from him. A little bounce pass over to Jiro, who just places it perfectly. You cannot let that man shoot, and with 20 seconds remaining, Iowa State, despite having double Kansas State shots, they need to find something here. They need to find a goal to send us into extra time, as Moon in the corner, 13 seconds remain. Recumbent, he sends it into the backboard, and Alien Techno going to deal with that one. Salty Girth tries to make a play, but doesn't have any boost. Milky gets it past the defender, but still has 2 more to get it past. Moon off the backboard, gets bumped up, 1 second remaining, and Alien Techno sends it to the ground, and Kansas State going to not just escape with the win, but, I mean, that was just a great performance from them overall. Very defensive battle, and I think they won it. Moon with 5 saves. I mean, he was everywhere. I mean, MVP of the match. I think he played phenomenally.
I think he did too. 5 saves. That is definitely something. Although, all things considered, that entire team has at least some kind of stat to be accounted for in this case. A full team effort. Everyone having a goal. Everyone having an assist. That means that they are really getting all of the work done that they need to get done. Again, beautiful performance here from Kansas State. Maybe a little bit slow, starting to kind of get themselves into the series, but a really good response after going down that first goal, even with a little bit of kickback coming through from Iowa State off of that cheeky little kickoff that came through.
Yeah, and goals like that will happen against you. I mean, especially considering that kickoffs are the only guaranteed thing to happen in a Rocket League match for sure. But I mean, as you mentioned, it wasn't anything extraordinary about the kickoff. It just happened to go the way of Iowa State there. So, I really, for their sake, hope that they don't rely on those kickoffs in order to get goals. I felt like they had some great opportunities, but Moon standing 10 toes down on the defensive side. I mean, it really just seemed like that was his match. And it was a great performance to get his team up 1-0 in the series, and that will definitely help, especially in a close series like these two teams like to give us. That's definitely going to be a huge game win for this Kansas State side. It's a little bit of a giveaway happening, and Alien Techno capitalizes off the mistake.
Yeah, I think a little shaky here on defense. That ball jumping right in front of his car off of that corner bounce and just not quite able to clear it out. I shouldn't say Alien Techno, the one clearing it. Alien Techno, the one able to jump on the opportunity to then, well, give Kansas State the lead here. Although this will be towards net. Not quite fast enough. Jiro able to respond. Maybe get a second touch here. And, well, for a moment there, I thought Iowa State might have been starting to develop something, but it seems like Kansas State, they're getting right back to what they seem to just be doing for this series so far.
Yeah, and it's kind of odd how they play, especially against a team like Iowa State. Iowa State, you want to not be caught in your defensive third. You want to be a little more aggressive and try to control that midfield, but they're not trying to do that at all. They're comfortable in the defensive end. They're comfortable just hanging out in the midfield, letting Iowa State kind of do what they want with the ball at times, and it's been working for them. So honestly, I mean, keep doing you, Kansas State, and hopefully it pays off for them in the long run as Alien Techno sends the ball down. A nice shot. Recumbent Jones almost puts that on his own net, but Moon with a shot of his own. What a save from Recumbent Jones on the other end as Alien tries to get a shot. Jiro gonna send one down the pitch, and Milky unable to turn for it. It's gonna leave it for Recumbent Jones, who tries to send it over. Milky sends it down. Salty was already up for it, as this could be a dangerous ball, but Jiro on the defensive end, last line of attack there, gonna get a nice touch. Moon gonna miss that one, and now Alien Techno is gonna send it down. Milky, it's almost in the back of the net off of a Salty shot, but it's still not gonna be falling in the back of the net as Alien Techno on zero boost tries to pre-flip into it, but Milky, a nice touch. Salty Girth is already up for it. Jiro gets a nice touch to the side. Jiro again sending it down, alleviating some of the pressure caused by this Iowa State team as Milky almost with a shot. Just barely couldn't get there. Recumbent gets dunked out by Alien Techno. Just absolute chaos and calamity happening in the Kansas State end so far. And, I hope for Iowa State's sake that they can break through soon enough.
They can break through because right now it seems like they're doing a decent amount of work on their own backline, as that one will be kind of close to net, although Salty able to push it off to the side, just going to send it forward, hoping that one of his teammates can follow it up. Moon jumping on the opportunity pretty fast, and we'll have to see if maybe they can hold on to this ball in the midfield. Keep taking his time. We'll see if maybe Recumbent can jump on this. Does get the 50, and it will just take some time in the midfield. We might see an opportunity here. Salty not able to catch up to it, and Kansas State, they're going to go up by 2.
Very interesting play. I mean, Kansas State so cool, calm, and collected in the midfield. Just kind of a slow passing play, but it gets past the last defender and Salty, who didn't have a whole lot of boost, and ends up accidentally putting that in the back of his own net. So, unfortunate scenes there, but it seems as though Iowa State may be looking to get a goal here to slice into that Kansas State lead, as Recumbent Jones and Salty Girth both up for it that time. Moon sending it down. Jiro pops it high. Moon gonna go for this himself, tries to get there, and Salty gonna deal with it on his own end and accidentally gives it away to Alien Techno, who's gonna put that one in the back of the net. That's the second goal Alien scored off of a Iowa State mistake in this game.
That post, that can be a little tricky at times, especially if you don't get the launch off that you really want. And, well, I mean, Kansas State, they're going to gladly pick up that goal any chance that they get, because right now it seems like Iowa State, I feel like they can't really develop themselves behind the ball well enough. I mean, they're getting some opportunities here and there. They're obviously getting some shots on net, and especially with that last game, they got plenty of shots on net. Although,
Whoa.
it seems like the defense, it just seems to be letting them down.
That is a brutal way to find the ball in the back of your net, but what a pass from Moon. Didn't even have to do a whole lot, just drove into that ball, sent it off the backboard, and Giro with a world-class finish, gonna put that one in the back of the net, and you know, it's 4-0 for Kansas State, and you just have to, if you're Iowa State, maybe get a couple of goals to not come back in this game too, per se, because it's gonna be a little bit of a hefty task, but not impossible, but to at least get some momentum for game 3, I would say. You got to recover some form of your identity, and you know, they keep trying the same thing. You know, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results. That's kind of what they're doing right now. You know, they keep pushing into this Kansas State end and trying to force some of these balls in the back of the net, but it's just not working how they are intending it to. So maybe take a little bit more time in the midfield, maybe take a little bit more time to have your first man demo a little bit, or create a little bit more space for your second man to get a nice shot into the back of the net. You know, just little things like that. And obviously it's hard to adjust mid-game. That's why I'm suggesting this for game 3, if they're somehow listening to the stream, as Milky gets up for it. Moon gonna get a nice 50, and Recumbent sends it over, but it's all going to be a formality at this point. A little less than 40 seconds remaining, and it's all but over for this game 2. Kansas State pretty much has got this one in the bag here, and are going to go up 2-0 in the series.
No, and I definitely agree with what you said. Just grabbing one more goal, even with this game obviously just going to be a Kansas State victory, you want to at least prove to yourself that, yeah, we still can get a goal. Last game 1, they got 2. They were able to snag one pretty early on and then got another one off of a kickoff. Not like this Kansas State team is completely just undefeatable, but it seems like so far they are playing as such as, well, they're going to, at minimum, end this game 4-0 against Kansas State, as that will stay up, but Giro will put it down. And, well, a commanding start to this series from Kansas State.
Yeah, I mean, just absolutely spectacular work from them. And, you know, even though Moon wasn't as involved on the stat sheet, he still played a great game, like, as that third man. And I just think it goes to show from that Kansas State team, you know, he's the more defensive player, and he was able to have those opportunities, those little pockets of space in game 1 from Iowa State, and he capitalized. But this time they shut him down, but you still have Alien Techno and Giro to worry about. So you can't focus on shutting down one player. It just has to be a full team effort. The rotations have to be a little bit better if you're Iowa State. They're looking a little too tight right now. It's just the first and second man are basically stacked on top of each other right now, and it's not leaving enough space for some creativity to happen. It's just a lot of, you know, get a 50, pray it falls to my second man kind of action. But Iowa State, I know they're a creative team. They have some mechs in their back pocket. We'll just see if they can't utilize it going into this game 3, and utilizing it more so in the midfield. I feel like they're just relying on getting the ball into the Kansas State end and, you know, just trying stuff, making, you know, seeing if it works. But it's not going to work against this Kansas State defense, who's been stellar so far.
Well, and I think you definitely started nailing it on the head. I feel like a lot of this needs to be like built up from the back. Right now, a lot of your issues are some nerves, maybe just a little bit of uncertainty on the defense. You need to start building that up from the back and working your way forward, as we will see a goal very early on here from Iowa State. Good capitalization off of some of the chaos that happens earlier on in the game. 6 seconds in, that's a lot better than what we've seen in some of the previous matches. Maybe this is something that they can hold on to. Maybe this is something that they can carry with them a little bit more, as a massive 50 comes through from Salty, and, well, they are, well, probably even happier about that.
That is a wonderful 50 off a great kickoff, Girth. Just absolutely pile driving that one past Moon. And I mean, you can't have a better 50 than that. And they're up 2-0 with 10 seconds elapsed so far in this game 3. But, you know, I hate a 2-0 lead. It is the worst lead in all of sports for a reason. So definitely, you know, you love to be happy for Iowa State to get some goals on the board and create a little bit of a cushion for themselves. But they still have a lot of game to go to see if this cushion will hold here, as it seems as though Kansas State trying to find one back, but unable to do so far. Salty, Girth. has 13 boosts in the tank. Gonna try to get another great 50. Oh my goodness, gets it past 2. And now Milky up with it. Tries to 50 past Alien Techno. Nice 50 coming out. Milky over there and tries to redirect it into the back of the net. Not going to be able to. Very, very tough shot, but, you know, almost makes it work off of a great pass from his teammate there. Tries to get a pass over to Salty, but Salty is just sitting on that boost, just playing in the midfield, holding it down, and they're listening a little bit more. You know, they're not setting up in Kansas State's end. They're kind of hanging around the midfield line. They're just hanging out and just waiting for Kansas State to make those big booming clears that they've been making all series long and capitalizing. And this is the kind of adjustment that championship teams have. You know, the level of adjustments that they can have, and we'll see if they can, you know, utilize this adjustment to get a couple more goals and really assert their dominance. So Kansas State in turn has to adjust, but so far it seems as though Kansas State having no problems putting the ball in the back of the net.
Yeah, in this case, maybe just a little bit more of a forced error, making it so that Salty was not comfortable on that defense. I was about to say, it seemed like Iowa State starting to get into this a little bit more. If you're Kansas State, you want to make sure that they just can't feel comfortable. Obviously, you had that in those first 2 games, but it seems like starting into this game number 3, they started finding their groove a little bit more. So see if you can mess up their line, see if you can mess up the directions that they're being given. They're given to each other, and hey, that's a good start to make sure that you're dropping it down to that only 1-goal lead. As you said, 2 goals is never a safe lead in Rocket League, let alone any other sport. So we'll have to see if Kansas State may be able to jump on this. Moon is up. Is he going to get the double? No, it's going to go off the backboard, and well, that is a massive clear to the other side, and Recumbent Jones able to jump on a counterattack opportunity.
I mean, that is just brutal. Moon with the double attempts, had a great setup, unfortunately unable to put it towards the back of the net, puts it off of the backboard right into Recumbent, who shoots that into the back of his net, and you know, you hate to see it for the side of Kansas State. You know, they had a great play going as, a little bit of a mess up, a miscommunication going the way of Iowa State, and Kansas State is going to capitalize off of that one. Moon repaying Iowa State for that 50 earlier, 50ing one of the Iowa State members to get that one into the back of the net, and they're only down by 1. You can never count Kansas State out, especially since they have that 2-0 series lead, but you know, you definitely have to look towards your playmakers to get something going if you are Iowa State. To really, they need a big cushion right now, because Kansas State, they're within striking distance. We'll see if they can't get it right now. Salty doesn't have any boost off the backboard, but gets it down anyway. Recumbent sends it kind of towards net, but Moon's going to take that ball with 0 boost, tries to get it past another player on the Iowa State side. Alien Techno tries to read that, but Recumbent is going to do very well to get that ball out of his defensive half. Moon sends the ball up top, and now it's off the backboard. Salty not able to touch that one as Alien Techno sends it up high, gets it past 1, and now Jiro has to turn for this one. Both him and Moon turn for it, and unfortunately unable to make anything happen with it, as the 2-minute mark has come and gone, and it's still this Kansas State attack just so good at creating a lot of pressure and mounting this pressure until finally they score. Hopefully Iowa State can clear this one so they can at least try to take a game off of this threatening Kansas State team.
And even when they're not directly putting shots on net, they're still able to push it off to the side. They're still able to get a 50 that gets it to a player or gets it in a more favorable position, as that will be a shot on net. Jiro just wide. And again, even with some of these opportunities just going a little bit out of the way, they're still able to make sure they're holding on to stuff. They're still able to get a 50, and that 50, maybe, you know, it might be in front of their net. It might be somewhere that is a little bit dangerous, but they're still managing it. Right now, Iowa State, they have 3 goals. Right now, they still have their 1-goal lead, but it's not like this Kansas State team is going to make it any more comfortable for them to try and take this game, as Alien Techno might get a shot on net that is going to be off of the post, still throwing some very threatening shots on net, although Milky getting this 50 that is going to be off the backboard. Recumbent not quite able to follow it up. Salty's going to put it off to the side, but Jiro's already there. We're going to have to see a clear from Milky. It doesn't seem like it's there. Able to get a dunk, and well, this is a massive clear that Iowa State definitely needed, but we'll see if they can hold on to it.
Yeah, we'll see. Is a little over 30 seconds remaining in this one. Kansas State, they're threatening big time, but Alien Techno doesn't have any boost to work with. Moon gonna pre-flip into that one. The ball rolling off the corner. Moon floating down towards that ball. Milky is gonna get a nice touch. It's floating up top. Alien Techno now. Flip reset in tow. Now the ball is bouncing off the backboard. Recumbent trying to come in with a shot, but they have to worry about defense more than offense right about now. As the ball sent up high. 8 seconds remaining. Milky can't find the next touch, and now Alien Techno misses, and so does Moon. No boost left in the side of Kansas State, and Iowa State going to capitalize off of that one with a great goal from Salty, and that is what they needed to get back into this series.
Yeah, it seemed like maybe just, again, not too much comfort there, as we might have a player that is seeming to have some connection issues. We might have a lobby restart in order, but nonetheless, Iowa State, they're the ones who are able to take a decent amount of the momentum that, it might have taken a little bit of time for them to build up, might have taken a little bit of time for them to start really getting their ground, but they had found it, and, well, they held on to it. That's the important thing. This Kansas State team, they did not slow down. They did not lean back. They made sure they were still throwing a ton of shots on net, and they did so. But, again, Iowa State held on.
Yeah, they sure did hold on, and, you have to respect the efforts from Kansas State, especially just, they were throwing everything at the net, and, it wasn't going in as much as previous games, but the chances were just so threatening, and it made Iowa State really sit back and, play that really, really defensive, park the bus style of gameplay that we saw. We saw multiple balls just rolling in front of the net, and there was no second man because they were all the way back behind the midfield line, just waiting for the clear, waiting to challenge for their third man. And I think that's how you need to play in those park the bus moments, and they did an excellent job doing so. And, just shows the amount of versatility that teams can have. Iowa State, very aggressive team. Game one, they had double-digit shots. They were just absolutely pounding it on, and they didn't get the game win. So what did they do? They adjusted. They added more presence to the midfield. They slowed the game down just a little bit, and it caught Kansas State off guard a little bit. They weren't able to generate the chances that they were in the first two games, and they were still threatening, but it's much less of a threat when you don't have one player from Kansas State really standing out and taking over the game. It was a team effort on their end, and I think that's what Iowa State wants. They want to be able to, because if they try to stop one specific player, that's where it all falls apart, right? That's where it all fell apart when they were trying to stop Moon in that game too, and then had Giro and Alien Techno to worry about. So they did a great job adjusting, but now it's time for Kansas State to adjust, right? You saw what Iowa State did to adjust to you. Now, what do you do on your end if you're Kansas State, Nivix?
Yeah, well, I do think that you said it very well, in the sense of Iowa State able to kind of just park the bus. They're kind of able to sit there and just say, hey, we know what we need to do. We need to just stay in the realm that we understand, right? And it starts with making sure that your defense is solid and making sure that you are moving up the field very fluidly. Make sure you're moving up the field together very fluidly. And in that case, I think that it started working out for Iowa State. Obviously, in that case, able to find some goals a little bit earlier on and able to pick at it here and there. And then obviously that counterattack opportunity was huge for them to make sure that they had a decent lead going into it. Obviously, never lead with Kansas State on the other side of the field, as we're going to get into this game number 4 in Sovereign Heights. And, well, right off the bat, we might see some pressure here from Kansas State.
Yeah, it's some pressure that is much, much needed from them to get back game win in this series, as Milky sent it off the backboard, but Salty unable to find that one. It was going to be a tight window and couldn't quite get it in there. Giro making a nice play, a nice 50 over to Moon, who gets a touch, gets a second, and that one's going to fall into the back of the net. Not sure where the Iowa State defense was there.
I think there was some bumping that Moon was actually doing, able to push Milky off to the side, and, well, the ball went right to him. All he had to do was do a quick little double jump, just put it right in, and nice and easy for Kansas State to get themselves back into this, although I personally never really had any doubt of whether or not they were in this series, as, well, even with a score that maybe was still a 2-goal deficit last game, they still definitely had plenty of pressure to show that they not backing down in any way, shape, and or form as Moon. He's going to put this forward, try and stay behind it, maybe to get a pinch off of the ground. Something, just a little bit of variety sometimes is a great little touch that you can add to, you know, make it so that your attacks are a little bit more confusing, not necessarily confusing, but a little bit more unpredictable. It's a great way to make sure that your offense is a little bit more unpredictable, as Salty with very little boost, in fact 0, trying to just stay behind it. It's going to end up going to Milky, but Jiro there immediately does get dunked, but Moon possessing the ball, unable to flick it, and Alien, he's going to go for something here himself. No, backs off. He's going to see what this Iowa defense can do. Unfortunate 50, and that's going to be sent back to their corner. Moon's going to have to collect. Maybe not the best touch off of the corner, as this will be back into Iowa State possession. Although, with that big send forward, we might have to see what Moon can do. Maybe some bumps coming through. Seems like in this case, Alien Techno, maybe not with a direct assist, but a little bit of aggression to help lead that one in.
Yeah, that is a great play from Alien Techno, especially on 0 boost. You know, his value in that play would have been significantly decreased if he just rotated back regularly. He saw an opportunity to cut not the ball, but on that third man, and he did so just so elegantly. I mean, he used that power slide and he got to that third level and really executed well on that third member. But Moon is going to put away the third goal from Kansas State and nail a hat trick onto the board. Third goal from Moon, and off of a great pass from Alien Techno.
That's a great pass, and might I say, I feel like this Kansas State team, I mean, each of these players are really having their moments to shine. I mean, in that, I believe it was the second game, Alien Techno was the one scoring all of the goals for Kansas State. Now it's Moon's turn. Moon was obviously doing absolutely amazing in that first series. This time around, maybe getting a little bit more of the credit that he deserved as he just rushed this defense, although not the best 50 for a follow-up. Alien Techno able to force it off to the side. Recumbent Jones trying to collect, not able to catch up to it, and Salty, he's going to have to send this out, although it doesn't seem like any Kansas State players are there immediately. This will be off the backboard, and Moon just getting a touch forward, just something to try and make sure that this ball is staying out of the orange half as Jiro gets a massive 50. Milky able to take it off of the back wall here. A little bit of an awkward touch, but nonetheless it is pushing it out, as this will be in front of the net, although a bounce off of the backboard is going to be a great way to slow things down. Moon already up, able to push it off to the side, and well, while a lot of people seem to have very little boost, that is what they needed to at least slow down any attack that might come their way.
Yeah, you know, any boost is boost at the end of the day. You know, it doesn't matter about how much you have. It's what you can do mechanically to, you know, make sure you reach that supersonic state. As Salty has a one-on-one with Jiro, but unfortunately unable to get that one past him. As the ball is sent back into the Iowa State end, Milky tries to send it down, unable to do so. Recumbent sends it down himself, and now it's Alien Techno to pick up the pieces there. Moon sends it over. Jiro unable to get that one, and just 50 Salty in that one. And, you know, Kansas State, their mantra right now is good defense is good offense, you know, and I think they should just keep doing what they're doing because it's obviously working. And, you know, the game one, a lot of their goals came off of some defensive mistakes from Iowa State, you know, because they overcommitted or what have you. But a lot of these goals, they're just flat out outplaying them right now. And, you know, if you can have moments like that, I say just keep doing what you're doing and keep the momentum up. There's no need to change your tactics at all, and especially since Iowa State can't seem to figure it out right now. As Alien Techno sends it to the side, Recumbent gonna get a nice touch. It's gonna go towards the mid, but Jiro there doesn't have any boost to work with. It's off a backboard. Moon gonna take a touch. Milky sends it up high. Recumbent tries to get a nice shot, but unable to do so. But that's a nice pass. Salty Girth gonna put it in the back of the net, and it's not over till the fat old lady sings.
Indeed, right. In this case, Recumbent able to threaten a shot on net. Don't know if that was a pass or a shot, but nonetheless able to put it in front of the net. Great way for a teammate to follow it up. Salty just waiting there for that opportunity. We might see a little bit of something happening on the kickoff, although Moon easily jumping on the opportunity as well. We might see a little bit of at least some slow play here from Kansas State, but Jiro, massive dunk coming through, as that will be very close to making its match on net. Moon putting a shot forward, and that is a miss, although Salty behind it, maybe some bumps coming through, slowing down some possible returns that Iowa State could find. Not gonna happen in this case. A slow 50, and well, Jiro again able to get behind the ball. He's been very solid on defense so far, even with little boost. And so far, I mean, as you said, that's kind of the reason that they're staying in this game.
Yeah, 100%. And as the time ticks down, it's another Kansas State victory. And, you know, part of the reason I predicted them is because when they're at their peak, and that usually comes around playoff time, especially since this season, they've recognized that they are one of the better teams in the MCC. They are meant for these moments. They're made for these moments, and they are playing like they belong. As Moon nodding a hat trick, you know, it's so funny to see because all these, you know, you touched on it, how they're all having their moments. You know, Moon a couple of games ago only had maybe 1 assist, 0 goals, 0 saves, and like 1 shot. Right now, he has 3 goals, 0 assists, 2 saves on 6 shots. You know, it just it matters on the type of game Iowa State is playing and how ready Kansas State are to get aggressive in some of those moments. What they specialize in are these midfield attacks, right? They'll pass it infield and they'll try to find a teammate, and it really works against a lot of teams. Iowa State, they've defended very well. They defended the first man, just trying to bulldoze through them, try to get a 50, but you know, defending those midfield shots. I mean, especially when Kansas State is getting so creative to have their third man passing it infield to their first man rotating back. I mean, it's hard to stop plays like that, especially when you have a well-oiled machine like Kansas State is playing right now. We'll see if Iowa State can't make an adjustment here as we head to the Aquadome, one of the best maps in the game, mind you. I mean, what a beautiful map, Nivix.
It is an absolutely beautiful map. I 100% agree with that. That's why we had to throw it in rotation. That's why we had to get it for moments just like this. Right now, Kansas State, they are on match point, but Iowa State, they might have something to say about it if they can start getting themselves organized in a good way. This might not be the best start, but it is going to be a touch upfield. Maybe a follow-up here from Salty, not able to get the dunk. Although, right now, it seems like maybe a little bit of boost control coming out here from Iowa State as Salty able to grab that corner. And we'll see if Salty can maybe hold on to this. No, not quite, but this will be a decently slow attack here from Kansas State as they try to recollect themselves. And, well, this is exactly where Iowa State wants to be, as maybe a pre-jump coming from Milky there. I like to see a decent bit of confidence, even though you might be down in a series. You always want to make sure that the vibes are high. You want to make sure that you're feeling good, even when it seems like the task ahead of you is, well, pretty large. But maybe keeping up that mood, maybe keeping up that kind of confidence is what they need to get themselves back into this.
I mean, or you never know, you know. I have a teammate named Scoop who likes to pre-jump everything, even though we're down like 3-0 in a series. So, you know, oh my goodness, 2 post miss. But, you know, we'll ignore that for Kansas State's sake and go back to what I was talking about. But you have players that just like to pre-jump in general. So, you know, it's good to see that confidence, obviously. But I think vibes can't come from how you're portraying how you're playing, you know, how your vibes are with how your car is moving on the field. It has to come from, you know, the captain of your team or the heartbeat of your team, you know, leveling with the team, you know, and being like, hey guys, this is what needs to happen, this isn't in this. And you know, it's more of a positioning thing, I find, with Iowa State. It doesn't seem like they're playing bad individually. As Alien Techno just saved his own teammate's shot and apologizing in the chat. What a kind individual Alien Techno is for that one. But Milky gonna get a nice touch off the backboard, but Alien Techno gonna send it away. Salty sends it off the sidewall. Now Milky can't find that touch. Alien Techno now trying to dunk out Recumbent Jones, but gonna be a nice 50 from Recumbent. Salty up with this one. Giro gonna get a nice 50. Now that ball sent dangerously into this Iowa State end. Salty has a little bit of opportunity, a little bit of space. Nice infield pass, and that's what we need to see from Iowa State. The creativity is showing now, and what a perfect time for it to finally come alive.
Salty here realizing doesn't have the best shooting opportunities, saying, hey, you know what? I know I have a teammate midfield. Easy pass off to the center, and, well, that is the exact kind of follow-up that you want to see. Iowa State, again, starting off with scoring. Most of the series that they've gotten most of the games, I should say, that they've gotten themselves a goal right off the bat. They've done pretty well in game 1. It was decently close, although they weren't able to hold on to it. And, well, last game, they did end up taking the entire thing. So maybe this Iowa State team that seems to start trying to get these strikes in early is, well, the kind of aggression that you need to see, maybe making sure that this Kansas State team does not have as much room to work with, does not have as much space to breathe, as we might see another pass center here, although Moon jumping on the opportunity very quickly. Salty, maybe a little slow to this, but will just try to stay behind it. Recumbent Jones, he's going to have to be out for this. Sends it down, seeing if he can catch the 50. Can't quite. There is a demo that might slow down Salty, but it doesn't matter because Milky's behind it. Maybe some bumps coming through, and this will be sent back to the Iowa State side, although Salty taking his time with this possession. I do like the fact that they're taking their time. I feel like sometimes you can kind of get yourself a little too rushed into a scenario. When you're down in a series, a lot of the times you can start feeling a little bit of the pressure. You can start feeling like you need to have answers, even though you're a goal up. But they're taking their time with this as well. Recumbent Jones, he's upfield for a ball that's heading towards net, and he's going to put it on.
You know, Iowa State, they specialize in goals like these. A player downfield just redirecting a beautiful clear into the back of the net, and you know, they're up 2-0, right? And, you know, I hate that lead, but as much as I hate that lead, I think it is very important for Iowa State to have this lead right about now. I mean, if the shoe is on the other foot, it'd be pretty much disaster, and I would say GG's, you know, it's over. But Iowa State, I'm really liking what they're doing right now. You know, it's a lot of creativity, and as you mentioned, like the pace of play has changed significantly. They're not rushing their touches anymore. They're getting more controlled touches, and they're allowing themselves to breathe and find each other in the middle of the field. And I feel like that's important as we see a pinch coming out. As that one might just go in the back of the net, and a little bit of help from Lady Luck to put that one in the back of the net. I'm not really sure what happened here. Oh my goodness.
Oh my.
Oh wow. Okay, I thought there was a little bit of some enemy combatants, you know, hitting the ball with them, but no, that was just a straight up pinch between two teammates. That was incredible.
Yeah, and I mean, a little bit of awkward defense there, coming out to some good favor, although Jiro maybe capitalizing on some awkward defense this time around. Lady Luck not quite going to be able to help them out in this case, as he puts that right past Salty, not quite able to catch up to that fast enough. And I mean, as soon as you think Kansas State, they might be out of it, they might be a little bit down, they're back to that all-loved 2-goal deficit, although Milky here does have a 1v1 opportunity, and I mean, as I'm talking about a 2-goal lead, well, they're back to 3.
Yeah, we played Kansas State, I want to say, yeah, in the spring semester in the playoffs. And one thing that really got us back into that series was the kickoff goals, because I find that Kansas State, their second man on the cheats doesn't really do as good of a job as I feel like they should, mitigating that pressure that comes from the person following on the opposing team. So I feel like they're going to have to work on that. It's a very specific ask for them to work on, but I mean, it's gotten them scored on multiple times this series. So you have to not let Iowa State have any chance to score here. And with 30 seconds remaining, it looks like it's all but over. Iowa State going to get this one done, and what a great win for them. I mean, a multiple goal lead right now, and they've been so dominant throughout, just really finding their game and, you know, exposing some of the cracks we've seen in the Kansas State defense, as Recumbent Jones taking this one off the sidewall. Moon gonna get a nice touch. It's in the corner. Alien Techno gonna be up for it, but Salty beats him to it. Recumbent down to Milky, and a full team effort to get the 5th goal of the game for this Iowa State squad.
Yeah, I mean, you know what? Might as well grab another, right? See, the game's about to end. You already have the game in the bag. Might as well grab another. Just a little bit of a maybe stat padding, maybe a little bit of a momentum holder, making sure that this Kansas State team is reminded that, yeah, we are the ones winning the match, and that is exactly why. Beautiful play at the end there from Iowa State, and I mean, beautiful game in general. I definitely agree that, you know what, yeah, they're just taking their time. I almost want to say they're kind of letting the game come to them. I believe you mentioned it a little bit earlier on that Kansas State, they are an aggressive team, and they will try to, you know, get in your face a little bit. They'll try to get these plays going really quickly, and I feel like a decent number of the goals are just moments of capitalization off of that. We saw some counterattacks, that pinch that went, well, all the way across the field. Maybe not the most planned thing in the world, but definitely something worth noting, that there is a little bit of overextension going on from this Kansas State team, and Iowa State, I think they've started to realize that maybe, again, taking their time, maybe just taking a step back and saying, we're going to let you guys come to us, and as long as we hold strong, we're going to get an attack right back at you.
Yeah, absolutely. And I feel like an important part of this too is Kansas State in that past game, they had 5 shots and only 1 goal. Iowa State had the same amount of shots, 5 goals. They shot
Ooh.
100% in that past game. Now, talk about capitalizing off the opportunities. That's the exact kind of Rocket League we've honestly been yearning for from this Iowa State team to make this a series. We want to see some action here. And on Neo Tokyo, it seems like a lot of tomfoolery happens on Neo Tokyo, and I can't wait to get this one underway here as we see a Moon clearing this one right now for this Kansas State team. Recumbent sends it off the sidewall, going to get another touch. Moon trying to 50 him, and now it's Salty. Sends it up high. Who can be there for Iowa State? It's going to be Recumbent, but doesn't have any boost to work with. Salty gets bumped out of the way. Moon, unfortunately, losing that 50, and now Jiro going to try to get it past Recumbent, but unable to do so. Alien Techno now. 0 boost remaining in the tank. Gonna let Milky send it past him. Recumbent was there, and that's that phantom pressure that they love so much. Another key aspect of their game is their second man doesn't necessarily commit to every ball, right? It's kind of like playing twos. Like sometimes as the second man, you have to pick playing defense over playing offense and pick and choose your opportunities. And that's what they did so well in that last game. And, you know, it continues here, right? Jiro thought the second man was going to come up and shoot, and he hesitated a little bit. So next time around, he's going to be like, all right, well, the second man is not going to come up, and that's when they strike. So beautiful plays like that will really propel this Iowa State team to greater heights than I think we've already seen here. As a shot maybe coming out from Salty Girth, but that one's going to be whisked away from this Kansas State defense, who are doing a great job holding it down so far.
Yeah, well, and it means a lot of chaos, maybe just a little bit of uncertainty as for whether or not someone's going to go, whether or not the ball will be continued. But Iowa State, they are holding on to the ball right now. They are making sure that, I think as you said, with that second man, in that case, that enables them to make sure that they keep possession and make sure that, you know, they're able to jump on the right opportunities. In Rocket League, you get plenty of chances to do something. It's whether or not you pick the right moments to do it that really, you know, differentiates whether or not you're going to make the right play, whether or not your team is going to hold on to the ball or not, whether or not you're going to get a solid scoring opportunity. As well, it seems like right now you might be a little confused here on defense from Iowa State, although seem to have recollected themselves decently. That is a shot on net from Moon, but saved by Salty. Jiro, he's going to stay behind this, and, well, some diving plays here and there, maybe some demos coming through. Iowa State, they are surviving. Milky able to push this off to the side. This is going to bounce down to the ground. We'll see if Alien Techno can push that forward. He will, and,
wow.
Well, I think that net is wide open.
You know, that's a great observation, Ivix. I mean, just judging off the replay, you can see the third man just kind of taking a little trip down to go grab the boost and, you know, taking a little vacation, you know, you could say, over towards the boost. And I just feel like Jiro in that situation was not expecting the play to unfold like it did. And, you know, sometimes it just comes down to miscommunications like that. Is, you know, the amount of pressure Iowa State's had, they still have less shots than Kansas State. Now, this is the Iowa State team in its peak form. And I think this is why Iowa State beat Kansas State in the upper round this past semester, is because of play like this. You know, they're not going to bombard you with shots. They feel like that's meaningless, pointless. They're going to charge up the best opportunity they can muster up, and they're going to send it towards your net. As, wait a second, this could be dangerous. Recumbent can't get there, and Jiro finds the back of the net off of a great bump by Alien Techno.
I feel like that honestly might have started off with a little bit of an awkward clear from Recumbent. Jiro able to step on that opportunity, and then again, the post, that can be a fickle thing if you don't get that proper step right off of it. And Kansas State able to find a goal off of, again, some defensive mishaps, although this will be off the backboard. Milky might be falling. It goes for the bounce shot. That is off of the crossbar. And, well, we will remain tied as we might have a shot going their way. Let's see if a follow-up can come through. No! Moon, he's probably going to send this straight off the backboard, but Recumbent able to push it out. Alien Techno, he's the only one back, and after a massive demo coming through, Milky, again, following it up. Just an open net.
You know, counterattack play is just absolutely killing Kansas State right now. And, you know, it's the observation you made earlier. Hey, the net looks wide open to me. I mean, listen, you don't have to play Rocket League to know that net's wide open. And it's not based off of the fact that Kansas State are just playing poor rotations. Iowa State, they're eliminating the threat of that third man, the third and second man, by either 50ing them out or demoing them away. And, I don't like shooting it past a defender when I can just shoot an open net, as we see Jiro kind of shoot an open net here. I'm not really sure what happened on the defensive end. Milky gets a nice 50 with Alien, but Jiro capitalizing off of that, staying in the offensive end and keeping his team alive. Jiro definitely being that guy for Kansas State right now.
Yeah, I think in that case, Salty just might have expected that 50 to sort of fade off a little bit to the left, and, well, beautiful 50 there, able to make sure that it, well, went right into the hands of Jiro, able to follow that up. If you want any man behind the ball, it's going to be that guy, because, I mean, whether or not it's an open out, although a big demo, I mean, I feel like I've seen this play before.
You know what, matter of fact, I'm going to hit it for the third time, This net looks pretty open to me, I'm not going to lie.
It does look pretty open.
Yeah, and it's just beautiful plays like that, that I could just tell the comms are so great for this Iowa State team. They're playing so patiently. This is what we love to see. Send us to a Game 7, Iowa State. We're begging for it, but Kansas State, for their sake, they just want to get out of this in Game 6 fashion. We'll see if they can, as Moon sends a shot towards the net, unable to find the back of the net. Alien Techno racing back for this one, going to grab the boost and the ball. Gets demoed for his troubles, and Milky sends it down. Moon going to be able to send that one out, but it's right over to Recumbent, who sends an absolute missile to the back of the net, but it's going to be saved away. Jiro sending it down. Milky, a nice touch. Recumbent gets a nice 50 instead, and now it's going to be all him alone in this Kansas State end. But Milky, nice opportunity at a shot. Salty, last one back. Recumbent behind him now with almost a full tank of boost, but couldn't quite get the boost, as Milky unable to find that one. Recumbent gets the ball past Jiro, but Moon sends it off the corner. Salty off the corner himself. Moon gets it to the mid. Alien unable to find that one, and this one is going to Game 7. Was there any doubt? The answer is no.
No, absolutely. I didn't have any doubt. You know what? I will say, a little bit worried when those first two games went through. In Kansas State, they seemed to just be running with the ball well, but Iowa, they started finding their groove. They started finding their form. They started taking their time. I mean, all of those plays, we were just saying, it seems like that's an open net. It's because, well, they made it an open net. They saw the opportunity and jumped on it, whether it was a demo or making sure that you're cutting in at the right time to just take a quick shot that maybe the defense isn't ready for. They started finding out how they normally play. Sometimes when you get into a match, it's a little rough. It's a little rocky. You sometimes get surprised by an opponent, and it's a little shaky, but this Iowa State team, I think they found it.
Oh, yeah. This Iowa State team, they're basically saying, we owe ya a Game 7 again. And you know what? Matter of fact, I'm not complaining about it. For sure. We love to see the content around here, but Jiro was the guy in that Game 6 for Kansas State, and he's an exceptionally clutch player, especially in Game 7s. But the player I'm looking towards is also on the Kansas State side, but it's not Jiro. It's Alien Techno. I feel like in Game 7, something comes alive in that man. And it's just absolutely incredible stuff I've seen from Alien Techno, as we see Moon sending it down, and Jiro is going to have to recover that one, as Game 7 is now underway. Champions Field, the lights of Champions Field illuminating all the players right now. As I'm so excited for this one, Nivix. I mean, I know we made predictions pre-show, but knowing what we know now about how these two teams are playing, who do you have? Do you still have Iowa State?
I still have Iowa State. Again, I will say, I'm not afraid to say that I was a little shaky as things started getting underway, but again, they started to find themselves. Sometimes it just takes a little bit of time, and in this case, they took their time, and they found it. And they're jumping on opportunities as well. It looks like Recumbent Jones, he's going to start us off with scoring.
And that's that creativity we've talked about. Salty turning just so sharply to get that ball over to Recumbent Jones, who's going to put that one in the back of the net. An exceptional play from this Iowa State team to get the first goal in this Game 7. As, I mean, hey, you want to start off on the right foot, and they're doing so right now, as Alien Techno flip reset into, unable to get that one, as Jiro tries to get a touch on the ball. 50 comes down to the Iowa State player. Moon Sends it up. Tries to get it past a couple of players. Alien Techno now with the double. It gets saved from Salty. How in the world did that one not get it put into the back of the net? And a ludicrous save coming out from Salty.
I mean, I've just a good amount of patience. I feel like I keep saying that word over and over. Then in that case, able to just make sure he waited behind the ball and jump at the right opportunity. I think that came down off of the crossbar. So definitely a good find here from Iowa State, as maybe some demos might come through, but nonetheless, they're able to push it past that last man and get it center, and Recumbent Jones, he has a shot. Again and again, I'm stuttering over my words, but it's because they keep finding opportunities, although maybe a little bit of overextension is going to come through, and Moon is going to put it on.
That is an exceptional play from Moon. Great 50, and noticing Milky racing back. There's only one place you could have put that ball, and that's the bottom right corner of the net. An exceptional goal coming out from Moon when his team needed him most. Alien Techno, though, full take a boost. The ball coming to his car, and a 50 coming out. That one's towards the net. Milky gets dunked down twice. Alien Techno gonna put that one away, and the man I called on is making waves here in this Game 7.
An absolutely beautiful follow-up there from Moon. Off of a little bit of that, again, some awkward defense here from Iowa State. Kansas State, they realize they can smell when there's blood in the water, and Moon jumping on that opportunity almost immediately, able to follow that up and get a dunk that puts it just in front of the net. That's exactly what they need. And, well, it's going to put them up in this series. Iowa State, they're the ones who are going to have to find things, although they started off with scoring. Although that beautiful shot coming through from Salty is going to tie things right back up.
I mean, the back and forth here, these are exceptional goals being traded back and forth. I mean, you could not ask a bot in Rocket League to shoot a ball more top corner than that. That was absolutely ludicrous, especially in Game 7. Coming out from Salty, but wait a second, counterattack coming out off the kickoff. Recumbent gonna be there, but Moon, half a tank to work with, tries to get it out in front of the net, but no one there to shoot it from the Kansas State side. 2-2 now, little over halfway to go. Milky, a nice touch, tries to get another, but now Alien Techno almost tries to get it past Recumbent. Great 50, but you know, not good enough to get it past him there as Moon sends it off the corner. Recumbent, he's there, gonna send it down the pitch, and now Milky racing to get a touch. Moon gets a touch instead, and now Alien cutting Recumbent, and now Recumbent slowing it down just a tad, and now Moon sending it back the other way. Milky is gonna get a touch into the corner himself and tries to get a touch down the field. A nice controlled volley from him, and Jiro, beautiful 50 coming out from him. I mean, both teams just trading blows right now, trying to control the ball, trying to generate these chances, and so far, I mean, it's anyone's Game 7.
Anyone's Game 7, but I would like to point out Iowa State, they're making some really smart decisions when it comes to some of their attacks. Yes, right now it seems like Kansas State, you know, when they're on the offense, it seems like they have a little bit more explosiveness, maybe a little bit more variety to their plays, but on some of the attacks, I feel like you sit there and you're like, oh, I feel like that attack kind of sputtered out, but no, they were able to grab some boost in the corner, as Milky just did. They were able to make sure that this Kansas State team, they can't sustain what they're doing in these moments that they have these counterattacks. It's not always about getting the goal. It's not always about making sure you have some immediate threat. A lot of times it's about bumping someone. It's about making sure that you can just slow down the other team, because then they have to make these big clears out, and they have zero boost. And then you have zero boost, and you can take it off of the sidewall, although massive 50 coming through and almost a little bit of an own goal coming through, but just enough of a touch to keep it off to the side, and as it will call Recumbent Jones to that. A little bit of a miss there. That is going to be off of the backboard, so dunk coming through. Salty, he's going to stay behind it. He's going to push it out. Moon is up, not able to get a touch as Milky sends it to the backboard. He's going to sit in this corner, maybe get a 50. That is going to send all the way to the other side of the field. Who's going to be first to it? Recumbent is both Moon and Salty up. It is going to be sent to the corner. Right now, Iowa State, they're holding on to some pressure.
Yeah, they most certainly are, and this pressure is just, it's bound to go in the back of the net. Salty coming through with the goal off of a Kansas State defender. Absolute cinema.
Oh my goodness, just a fast enough shot, just enough of a interference from Recumbent Jones, and Iowa State, They are going to take the goal that might win them the game, might win them the series, but they still have 25 seconds to fight off this Kansas State team, although that might be an open net. Alien Techno able to get behind it. There might be a shot coming through. No, Moon able to follow it up as well, and, well, they're holding on, but Iowa State, they're going to have a decent amount of pressure coming into these last 10 seconds. Kansas State, they're going to have to come up with something. Moon, put it back. Moon doesn't have the double. No, a follow-up. No, Milky able to save it. Jiro, he's going to turn on this, able to put it center. Alien not quite there for the shot. That's going to be a big bop to send to the ground. Iowa State able to come back and get the win. 3-2 in this last game, making them 4-3 on the series. A beautiful display of confidence, of just fortitude to make sure that, hey, you might go down in the beginning games, but if you stick through the entire way, you can take it for that all-deserved Game 7 win.
I mean, absolutely just incredible scenes we've just seen. Heartbreaking for Kansas State, but they fought very well against this Iowa State team who just got hot at the right time. I mean, nothing else to say there. Kansas State, they were putting on a lot of pressure. They had some great chances individually, but unable to really find that spark to allow them to get past this Iowa State team. I mean, that goal from, I believe it was Salty, came off of a bumped Moon who only was in that position to redirect that goal because he got bumped a certain way. So you got to feel for Kansas State, but I mean, there's just a kind of opportunity you can't pass up if you are this Iowa State team who have just absolutely blown my socks off. I mean, hey, hats off to you, Nivix, for getting your prediction right. I honestly thought my prediction was going to be correct, but hey, I guess you know ball and I don't.
I mean, listen, it was an insanely close game, obviously going to Game 7, but I think the best thing we can do to maybe get a little bit of a sneak peek, maybe a little bit of just a look into how that series went, we might be able to get Millie Mason in here for an interview. Hello.
How's it going, guys?
Going good. And yourself?
Doing pretty good.
Yeah, a bit of a chaotic series. I think I'll go ahead and I'll start off with questioning. We can bounce back and forth. Not the best start in the world. Maybe not too much of a question, maybe more of a statement, I guess. But you guys were able to hold strong, able to sit there and start finding a groove. Might have come a little bit late in. What was it like getting yourselves back into this game?
Honestly, we just had to calm down. We were pretty nervous for the first couple games. First big game, getting back into it. We just had to calm ourselves and play our game.
Yeah, I mean, that was just incredible from both of you guys. But I just want to talk individually for a second, because coming into this game, you were the player I was looking at on the Iowa State side to really step up. And you guys didn't have the best start, but I was really just noticing how you individually really stepped up and got those chances and delivered some crucial goals and crucial assists to get your team back. Like, what kind of mentality do you have to work with to, really get yourself into that position?
Not gonna lie, at the beginning, I was the most nervous probably out of all of our entire team. But really, it was my teammates that brought me back into it, and our coach just told me to calm down, play my game. We're good. Just relax, have fun. And when we have fun, we play good. And that's exactly what it was.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like that showed. All things considered, I feel like that showed. Again, a little bit of a rocky start, but nonetheless, it doesn't matter what happens in the first two games, right? It matters what happens in the rest of them, and it matters what happens in Game 7. I'm going to kind of hone in on that a little bit. Throughout the entire series, we've obviously had a decent amount of back and forth. A lot of these games have been really close, but that last one, only a 1-goal difference, and the goal for you guys coming in with like 30 seconds left or something like that. What was it like within those last 30 seconds? Did anything change? Was there any sort of like mental switch that happened, or were you guys confident throughout just to make sure we know we can hold this down?
Honestly, there was no talks about it, and that's probably was a good thing, just to honestly just keep playing our game. Like, if we're not going to overthink it, just keep doing what we're doing, then we're not going to worry about it. And that's exactly what happened. And I would be lying if I said my heart was not racing during that entire time.
I don't blame you at all, personally. Hey, I feel like you've been to your fair share of game 7s and 5s, especially against this team of all teams. You had to make it 7, and
Always
we appreciate
K-State.
it. Yeah, exactly. You guys, you did it for the stream, and we appreciate it. But one more question for you from at least me. Play style wise, I noticed you guys starting off incredibly strong in terms of the shots. You guys had double digit shots, and you guys were just absolutely pelting their net. And then a flip switched. And I don't know what happened, but you guys started taking your time with the ball, and you guys started to kind of use the midfield as your greatest threat, right? You guys kind of sat at that midfield line and used that to your advantage. So what kind of adjustments were said in those comms by maybe your coach or whoever really is the heartbeat of that team?
Yeah, it was our coach that kind of told us to slow down, that we were just like kind of rushing, being on offense too much. Like if we had one shot, then we were rushing to have another and just keep pelting. And that's when the counterattacks just hit us bad, because we were trying to rush, just scoring goals and not taking our time. So honestly, it was all of our coach that really helped us out there.
Great to hear. That is one thing. I remember last season, that was one thing that a lot of us production people were like, do you know what? I think they have a coach buff. I think they have they might have an advantage with a coach that just seems to be like pulling out these moments here and there. And I mean, I think you said it there. Obviously, in that case, able to help with the mental. Truthfully, I feel like that's one of the more important things that sometimes is missed, making sure that, you might have a rough start, but you guys can still stay into it mentally, and you guys definitely did. Well, I will just say, just flat out, congratulations. You are going to be moving on. Your next opponent is going to be Penn State in that upper rounds too. How are you feeling about that? Going into it pretty confident?
Yeah, we're pretty confident in Penn State. If we're playing like the other half of the series, yeah, we're pretty confident, and I trust my teammates beyond anything now. Like it took us a little bit going into it, and now we're feeling great, and we know we can win this.
Yeah, well, thank you again for coming in and having this interview. I know that you are just absolutely thrilled. You can go celebrate with your team now. We'll let you go. You don't have to talk to us any longer. Go celebrate with your team,
that, guys.
man.
Thank you. Thank you so much for doing this, guys.
Hey, anytime. But I mean, what a series we had on our hands.
Beautiful series.
Yeah,
Yeah, always.
Absolutely.
We did it for you guys. That's what. That's why.
Thank you
of
for
course.
doing that. we appreciate it. Hey, yo, you're making this beautiful content.
Appreciate it, guys. You guys have a good night.
All right, you as well, man.
All right, bye, guys.
Wow. I mean, hey, Nivex. I mean, what a series. I mean, we can't say it enough, obviously. Yeah, what a treat, Nivex.
Yeah,
actually, it's not what a series. It's what a treat. Not only the viewers have been treated, but we as commentators have been treated to some great games. And that Penn State versus Penn State game is going to be an absolute banger of a series. And I feel like if they play how they played in that second half, I feel like they do have a genuine shot of upsetting that Penn State team. And I do say upset because that Penn State team is looking real good, if I'm going to be completely honest, as we have a little bit of a look at the bracket here. And I mean, listen, it's not an easy road for Iowa State now that they've beaten Kansas State, but it's easier now that they've gotten this win under their belt and they're in the upper bracket. They have to go against Penn State and then have to find out who wins on the other side of that winner bracket to see who they play. And there's a lot of great teams in this upper bracket. And I personally, and my heart is kind of changed about Iowa State, if I'm going to be completely honest. You mentioned the coach buff, and, I see it now, Nivix. I see what you're talking about. I don't know who that coach is, but he needs to get paid $1 million.
He needs to get paid. We might need to start there. Nonetheless, I mean, I feel like it's showing. I just feel like it's showing. Sometimes I feel a little bit redundant and kind of saying, oh yeah, this is happening. But sometimes the results, they kind of just speak for themselves. And naturally, I feel like this was going to end up being a little bit of a repeat of what we saw last season in the playoffs. We saw Iowa State and Kansas State play against each other. It went to game 7. Iowa State was the one able to take it. And you know what? That little fire underneath Kansas State to propel them through to, the grand finals. So I definitely don't think that Kansas State is out of this by any means. They are a team that are going to be, extremely dangerous down there in the lowers. But nonetheless, I think it just shows. I think Iowa State, they are a team to be reckoned with. They are complete. They know how they need to play. And you know what? Yeah, sometimes it may take a game or two to really start getting into it. Sometimes it might take a moment, a few mistakes here and there for you to realize, yeah, you need to slow down a bit. Yeah, you need to make sure that you're implementing what you know you can do. But at the end of the day, they find it. At the end of the day, they are able to capitalize on the opportunities they need to, and that's what a great team does. That's why they're in the uppers, and that's why, hey, even if they go down against Penn State, there's still going to be a problem no matter where they are in the bracket because no loss, no win is going to ruin their stride.
Yeah, definitely not. And, for a team like that, I feel like nothing's really going to get in their way, but what a night of Rocket League we had. And, to, to really, what a late night banger actually for,
Yeah.
I know on the East Coast, it's about 12 o'clock. So we'll let you guys get
Yep.
some rest. Okay. We'll get some rest because we have plenty more playoff action coming your way. So
Tomorrow.
if you like playoffs, yeah, if you like playoffs, then maybe tune in tomorrow for a little bit more playoffs. Hey, there might be a game or two on. But Nivix, thank you again for commentating with me, and thank you to Fast, our GOAT streamer.
Shout out production. Shout out
Yeah,
production.
shout out production, man. Those guys don't get enough credit. Shout out to everyone for putting this all together. But Nivix, anything you want to say before we head out?
I think you said it. There's a lot of MCC yet to come, right? So y'all gotta make sure that you're looking for it because if you want to get more of this Game 7 thrillers, that this isn't even the grand finals yet. This isn't even the upper finals. This is the upper round 1. Like this is just the beginning. Can you imagine what the rest of it is going to look like? Y'all, you just gotta stay tuned. I think there's no other way to say it. We have socials that you can stay tuned with it. If you're following the Twitch, make sure you're following the Twitch. And if you want to check out the VODs on YouTube to relive all of this, you go ahead and do that. And obviously, if you're not in the Discord, well, all that information is going to be there for you on Twitch. So make sure y'all are following that because unfortunately, we do have to end for the night. We don't have another game happening, but we got some games potentially happening tomorrow. So thank you all for joining as always because, well, wouldn't be possible without y'all watching this, and the drama really wouldn't be there without all the amazing people that are part of this and interacting with it. So stay tuned, make sure that you guys are keeping up to date with everything that you can. And I mean, you kind of handed it off to me to say any last words, but I might just throw it back at you. Anything else?
No, not really. I mean, you really hit the nail on the head. So we'll see you guys tomorrow for some more Rocket League action. Make sure you have a great night. Drink some water, get some good rest
Yes, sir.
because
Yes, sir.
tomorrow is going to be an absolute banger. See you guys later.